the thing that you have to recognize, and you should recognize this with your own clients, is no matter how old they are, intensity is still, they're still capable of intensity. Like I can still go in the gym and kill myself. What I can't do is recover from it like I used to. And so that's the big difference. You know, we've had 80-year-old, multiple 80-year-old clients in the gym, and they still go in and bust their butt. They really do. But we'll only see them twice a week, right? And the rest of the time they're doing a bunch of low-level activity as a recovery mode. And so the intensity never goes away, and it's protective. But just make sure that you're monitoring recovery.
How to improve the infrasternal angle. Also kind of talk about maybe what that is and why it's so important to improve that.
Okay, so what you're trying to determine with the infrasternal angle is, do you have a diaphragm that moves appropriately? And so the ISA, the diaphragm actually attaches directly to the ISA, and so it's going to provide you an element of information. So under normal circumstances, when you breathe in, the ISA would widen as the lower rib bucket handle up, and then as you exhale, they bucket handle back down, and then it closes. But what you're going to find is, because of people's genetic structure, they're going to be biased towards being a really good inhaler or a really good exhaler. And it's those people that I typically see in my practice, because they're towards the extremes, that when they lose the excursion of the infrasternal angle, it's representative of the fact that they're using external musculature as muscles to move fluids and air, and then that steals their range of motion. So the ISA is a representation to me that they are compensating for the inability to either move air or fluids through the body that allows them to move, because that's how we move. We move by shifting stuff around, not by the lever system like they taught you in school, because levers are, only dead guys have levers as far as humans go, or right before you go to the orthopedic surgeon's office to have a joint replacement. So again, the ISA represents the compensatory strategy. So if I have somebody that's walking around with a wide ISA that doesn't close, they're trying to compensate using an inhalation or an inhaling breathing strategy on top of a body that is fully exhaled. The people with their narrows that doesn't open are the people that are using that as a compensatory exhalation strategy, because their genetics predispose them to be biased towards inhalation versus exhalation. So again, it's one bit of information that leads you in a direction. It is not the end all be all. And then the goal is to restore an ISA that moves, so these people can breathe in and out, because if they can breathe in and out, they typically don't have compensatory strategies that limit their motion.
Great, thanks. Also on top of that, so when you see somebody laying flat on their back and they have that big rib flare, would that mean that they need to be on a more exhalation strategy?
I don't know what a rib flare means, bro. So are they wide or are they narrow?
I guess by wide.
So really, really simple. I got a wide. I got to teach him to exhale first to overcome his compensatory strategy.
Hi, Bill. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Howard. Let me answer one question on live.
Yeah,
Michael
sorry.
Baker. It's okay. Michael Baker, can you have different ISA on each side of the body? Yes, sir. You can have an asymmetrical presentation. Yep.
Just how in the hell do you write a book?
So you set your alarm. You get up. You do your little morning thing that you do. You grab your cup of neuro coffee and you go to your desk and you write every day. And every once in a while, you write 10 to 15 words that are really, really good, that will help someone else. And then most of the time, the stuff that you're going to write is going to be throwaway. And then you just keep doing that over and over and over and over again until you have enough that would constitute a book. Sometimes I tell you what, there's really great books that are only 40 pages long because they're incredibly dense and useful. And then there are books that are 562 pages long that are great for starting fires. And so, and that's okay too. It's like not everything you're going to write is going to be great. The important thing, if you want to do anything in the written word form, is you have to understand that most of the stuff that you write is not going to be good for anybody. But every once in a while, you're going to knock some stuff out of the park. So let me offer you this. So Dolly Parton has written over 3,000 songs in her career. I can guarantee you with great confidence that Dolly Parton has not had 3,000 hits, right? You can probably think of like the songs that she's made popular on one hand, but those are amazing songs that will probably live forever. But she was prolific, right? If you have any interest in that type of a thing or anything creative, you need to be prolific. It's more important to produce and create than it is to try to be perfect. The more stuff that you produce, like all you gotta do is go on anybody's YouTube channel. You know, every once in a while, you're gonna see one that has like a gajillion hits on it that everybody loved, and on the same channel, you're gonna see one that has like 6, because it just wasn't interesting enough. But they're cranking them out, right? And they're going to be useful for somebody. So 6 people found that useful. That's great. Give it to those 6, right? But the idea with any of this stuff, anything that's creative, you need to produce on a regular basis. So if you got a blog, why aren't you writing a blog every day? Because it's not perfect. Well, good luck with that. The one that you spent hours and hours on isn't going to be perfect either. Just produce. Somebody will find it useful. Somebody that's looking for you right now. Have you had to rethink your assessment process to cater more towards a streamlined online approach? No.
That was easy.
So Steve, you're bringing up a really good point that's going to be really valuable. Okay. So because the rehab industry has sort of infiltrated everything that has to do with human performance, people are looking towards personal trainers and such, having to lay people on a table like us therapists do. And that's not necessary in that realm. But here's what I would offer is that you should probably understand what those table tests mean and what they measure. And if you can understand that, then you can go straight out into the gym. You can watch somebody do a lunge or a split squat or a step up or a squat or scratch their nose or bend forward or lift or press, and you could probably identify something reasonably close to what those table tests can offer, right? The thing that people have to understand is that the model that they're using right now is inadequate because it is based off of dead guys, and dead guys don't lift weights, dead guys don't bend or squat or twist or breathe or move fluids, and so the representation is wrong. And if we can understand that, and if we can understand what dynamic anatomy actually looks like and how it's produced, now we have something useful. So it comes down, Steve, to the model that you're using as a representation of what movement really is. And the better we get at that, the easier the job becomes, and the less we got to throw people on the table to begin with.
Bill, just following up the question, since I'll just roll with it. If someone, since we have so much, so there's a bunch of coaches, trainers that have extra time now. How would you, if you were trying to reassemble and rebuild and rethink your model? I guess rebuild wouldn't be that'd be probably the wrong word, but to rethink your model would be a good time probably to do it right now. If you were a younger trainer or somebody that is looking to reassess and kind of reflect, what would you kind of start with? You know, where would be a good resource that says, hey, start one?
There's no such thing. There's no resource that does that. And that's why it's so hard. And that's why everybody doesn't do it. So when I chucked everything 4 or 5 years ago, I literally started from scratch and I said, okay, what are we made of? I literally started there. And so then I had to go figure that part out, right? And then if you figure out what you're made of, then there are universal principles that we all have to live by, right? Gravity, Newton's laws, right? Fluid mechanics, tissue mechanics. So there's all that whole world, and it seems overwhelming, right? Because right now there's coaches that are going, how do I coach a split squat, right? That's the level of complexity that's confounding them, right? And so from a modeling standpoint, it's like, where are you today? What representation are you using? And what I would say though, Steve, is that the way that you start to reform your model is you ask one question and then you go answer it. Right? So something as simple as like, okay, like in my realm for physical therapy, just take something as simple as an inversion sprain, okay? what happens during an inversion sprain. Now I got to start looking at the anatomy. I got to start looking at the movements that are associated with it. I got to look at how those movements are created. And now I'm looking at something in context, right? So if you have a question about a squat, then you say, what does a squat really entail? And you start from the outside and you work in, or you start from the inside and you work out, and then you create detail. And the next thing you know, you've got 20 pages of notes on just the squat, but you know the squat inside and out. And then that's going to lead you somewhere else. The thing that we have to start doing is learning in context, especially with the type of work that we do, which is movement-based, which is all contextual, right? It's really cool to look at a dead guy laying on a slab and go, this is where this muscle is, and this is where this muscle is, but you don't even need to know the muscles to be a good coach. What you gotta understand is how things arise, how humans move in the real world. And if you can understand that, then you can figure a lot of stuff out. But I would say, ask yourself one really good question and then answer it in as much detail as you can within a framework or a context. Start there. And then what you will find is it will cascade into the next question, and then the next question, and the next question. And then the next thing you know, it's 2 years later, and you're a god among men in regards to movement. Everybody wants to do this in the short term, saying, where is the resource? There isn't one. You have to accumulate this stuff. You actually have to do the work, right? But if you do it in context and you do it through responding to a question, it goes a heck of a lot easier, but it's going to require the investment of time and experience and horrible, miserable failures. Just don't hurt anybody, including yourself. My thoughts on the word posture. I don't know. Posture might be a snapshot in time, my friend. The reality is we should have thousands of them. The goal, humans are designed to be dynamic, not static. And so I would say that what we want is to be able to recapture all of our movement capabilities so that the body can respond in context without any concern over compensatory strategies that may cause us a limitation or pain. So I'm not a big fan of chasing any one posture. I don't think there exists a singular posture that is ideal under any circumstance, because we're all built a little bit different anyway. So hopefully that answers that question online, right? And then the N word doesn't even exist because you're never there. You can't measure it. So of what use is it to throw out a term that makes you seem smart? Okay, if that's what you need to sell, I guess that's okay. But you know, if we're going to have a true conversation about something like that, so think about this for a second. If you read any Bernstein in regards to movement, it's like you can't duplicate any movement, right? Exactly, you can't do it. And so if the N word actually did exist, and the N word that we're talking about in this case is neutral or neutral spine or something like that. Like if that really existed, one, you would never know when you're there, and two, if Bernstein's right, and he typically is, it's like you couldn't do it twice, under any circumstance. So what value is it? What we want is the ability to adapt, and then the body can make the appropriate decisions because it's not restricted by anything. And so now we can meet the needs of the context of that movement. That's the goal. That's always been the goal. Everybody's been looking for a way or one way, and all you're doing is restricting people from actually being able to capture what they need.
I don't think everybody knows what those words are, Bill, besides neutral. What are the other words?
The F word, functional. C word, core. N word, neutral or neutral spine. It sounds dirty, doesn't it?
It's fun. It's like makes me think of the what's his name? Why he's a George Carlin joke.
Oh, the 7 dirty words.
7 dirty words you can't say on television.
Yeah. I won't say them. I'm a fan of the endless game. Play it forward. So do something for someone else today. Okay? So just play it forward. If we all do that, everybody benefits.